In yesterday's video, we learned everything there was to know about the solar cannon. We got the solar cannon from a recent Creation Club update for Fallout 4, but at the same time, the Creation Club published a bunch of other stuff. I covered all the new skins this morning, and so the last item on our list is the Charlestown Condo. Live the life of luxury with this classy Charlestown condo, with 4 floors of customizability and plenty of space to spare. Your new home awaits, just down the road from Bunker Hill. This brand new player home costs 300 credits, but is it worth it? Let's find out. The next time we visit the Commonwealth, we get the quest, A Place to Call Home. Find the condo. The quest marker sends us to a point northwest of Weatherby Savings and Loan, right next to Bunker Hill. This is where we found the USS Constitution, but in my game the Constitution has moved, so we don't see it here. After wandering the streets of Boston for a while, we see that the map marker ends at the corner of a large building. We find a white door that we've never noticed before, partially concealed by ivy. The building is a 4-story building, including the attic, with most of the windows all boarded up with plywood. It's prime real estate right on the water. You can see how close we are to Bunker Hill. The Jet Addict apartment is right there in red across the water, and you can see my robot provisioners walking back and forth along the bridge to Bunker Hill. When ready, we can try and open the door only to discover that it requires a key.
Only opens with a key.
Our quest log is updated. We need to search the area. Thankfully, the marker brings us to a pile of rubble really close by. Here we find a hollowed out rock, and inside, note to travelers. Jim, Sally, Roger, welcome. I hope it wasn't too much trouble to find this note. Did you make sure you weren't followed? One can never be too safe out here. This is the place I told you about. I've spent a couple of weeks here, and so far it's been nice and quiet. I really think we can call this place our home. I had to go do some scavenging for supplies, but I've outlined the area where I'll be. You can either stay here and wait for me to return, or come find me there. There's only one key, so I keep it with me at all times. I'm sure you understand. Stay safe, Charlie. So Charlie has the key to his condo, but he went off scavenging for supplies. Looks like we've got to track down the man to get the key. The note said that Charlie included an outline, but we don't find one here. Instead, we find a new map marker on our Pip-Boy compass. Our map marker shows us that Charlie traveled a long way. The closest point is Hubris Comics. And sure enough, when we arrive, we find Charlie's corpse lying against an icebox. But before we can loot it, we get noticed by raiders.
Hey, who's there?
Here we go. I think that's all of it.
With the raider dead, we can loot the note on Charlie's corpse, and we discover that it's a holotape. Inside, we find 4 entries. The first, September 15th, 2287. Rough times. Life has been even tougher than usual in the Commonwealth lately. The Minutemen were keeping things in line for a while there, but they've begun to fade out, just like everyone else. Diamond City is full of paranoia over synths, to the point where even simple scavengers like me have a hard time getting through the gates. I've been laying low during the day, and digging around for goods at night to avoid all the super mutants and raiders. I really need to find somewhere I can set up a more permanent safe house. There must be something left out there. Oh, well, I'm glad this is marked September 15th, 2287, because at least then I understand that this was written long before my character became General of the Minutemen and began to rebuild it. It's for this reason, then, that the holotape entry doesn't seem to take into account many of the events that have changed in the game. For example, Diamond City is no longer paranoid about synths in my game, seeing as how we kind of took care of the Institute. In the next one, September 22nd, 2287, location scouting. There are so many old apartment buildings boarded up, I feel like one of them has got to have something good inside. I made the mistake of poking around in Lexington the other day and almost paid the price. That place is so overrun with feral ghouls and raiders, it'd take a small army to clear it out. Or one sole survivor. I'll be making my way back up toward Bunker Hill to see what's going on around there. In the next one, September 24th, 2287, found a place. I did some trading at Bunker Hill and decided to scout around the area. I had almost given up, but found a condo near Charleston. I pried off all the boards, made my way inside, and to my surprise, the place was nearly untouched. I can't believe how lucky I am. If anyone catches wind of this place, it'll be trashed by raiders in no time flat. Time to clean up the dust and build some defenses. And in the final one, September 29th, 2287, settling down. Sleeping in an actual bed is life-changing, even a bed that's 200 years old. It's amazing to get a sense of what life was like before the war. This place is really big, and now that I've settled in a bit, I've decided to open my doors to a few people I trust. They're making their way down here from up north. I'm running low on food and water, so I'm going to do some scavenging tonight. Now that I have something to lose and a place to call home, every outing makes me more nervous than the last. Fingers crossed I'll make it back in one piece. I'll need to leave a note hidden away somewhere to let my friends know where they can find me. Here's to settling down and rebuilding some kind of a future. He's rebuilding the future? A future that hasn't been built? I think he meant building a future. Anyway, it's a shame that we find poor Charlie lying here. He found a place to call home, and he was going to share it with all of his friends, but clearly something violent happened to him before he had the opportunity to do so. Considering all of his terminal entries are dated before the sole survivor leaves Vault 111, Charlie's body is not only in a remarkable state, having not decayed for at least a month, or years, depending on how long we've been playing the game before we find his corpse, but his friends also must have arrived and left long ago, having never found his note hidden in the hollowed-out rock. But now we have the key, which was on Charlie's corpse, and we can head back to Weatherby Savings and Loan and use the key to enter the Charlestown Condo. We arrive in an L-shaped hallway with one door blocked off. We can go forward into a small hallway with bathrooms on either side, a men's and a women's. These don't appear to be used. The toilets are all broken, though there are some nice pre-war signs on the wall. Continuing west, we arrive in a bit of a cafeteria. Looks like the bottom floor of this condo was used as a cafe or restaurant before the war. Let's see, this is an employees only door. That leads to the restrooms. Where would the entrance be? So that's where the entrance to the cafe would have been, but it has been boarded up. I see. I guess this hallway must have been a back entrance. Heading behind the counter, it looks like Charlie hasn't touched this place. We still see foodstuffs and empty bottles, cash and ammo in the cash registers. And while Preston tests the sturdiness of this table, we can open the employees-only door to the west to continue. This puts us out at the bottom of a stairway leading up. To the north, we find a small storage closet with just some boxes and a barrel, and then heading up the staircase brings us to floor number 1. Looks like this continues up, but let's explore this floor first. Opening the door, holy cow, leads to a large room. Looks like Charlie hasn't done much with this room either. I suppose it must have been a storage room for the pre-war cafe. We see a circuit breaker on the wall. This likely provides at least 100 power if it's anything like home plate, and we see beautiful natural light shining through the windows. I love the extra tall ceiling in here. Really gives you room to breathe. If we head to the eastern side of the room, we see a hallway off to the south. And here's the workbench. All right. Now we can make changes to our player home, and activating the workbench completes the quest, A Place to Call Home. We find another circuit breaker here, and sure enough, this generates 100 power. So that's 2 circuit breakers generating power on this floor, which is great. We don't need to build a fusion generator. Moving up the stairs, at the very top, we find a door to another level. And this level is finished and beautiful. We arrive in a living room. Either Charlie worked really hard on this, or this must be the condo he was talking about that he said he found untouched by time. And if so, we see that the previous residents were smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and reading the Boston Bugle before the bombs dropped. We arrive in their living room. They have a small selection of knickknacks and bottles on a shelf to the east, including a robot model and a ham radio. And hiding behind the door is another circuit breaker, providing 100 power. Looks like nothing here is wired wired up, but if we want to add to this condo or change it in any way, we have all the power we need. To the south of the living room is a small office nook. There's a safe on the ground, a bunch of containers, and a personal terminal right next to a billboard covered in time-bleached paper. Sadly, there's nothing on the terminal. I half expected to find some lore here, but at least we can use it to read our holotapes. Moving up the stairs leads to the kitchen. I love the brick and old wood feel of this place. And what's this? Are those blinds? I don't recall seeing blinds in the vanilla game. Where have we seen blinds before? I suppose they could have been in Cabot House, though I don't recall seeing them there. This may be unique to the creation. To the left is a kitchen sink. We see shelves covered in boxed foods and cans. There's a little bit of a laundry room right next to the kitchen. We see a washer, no dryer, and another fuse box, providing power to this level. There's a shelf with minor goods and then a door leading to a bathroom with more of those blinds. This bathroom is nicely decorated. Sink, toilet, and what's this? Is that supposed to be where a light switch was? There's nothing on the other side of this wall and we can't interact with it. That leaves me confused. I'm not sure what that is. Moving out from the bathroom and laundry room, we see that Charlie has some boxes stored under the stairs, and he had place settings out for himself and all of his friends. Looks like he was really looking forward to their visit. A visit which, sadly, never happened. But this isn't even the end. We can go upstairs again. At the top of this staircase, we find another level with another fuse box on the wall. And the first door we find is one of the bedrooms. I don't know if this is the master bedroom or a guest bedroom. It's gorgeous. 2 big windows with curtains bathing the bed in natural sunlight. And this room has a little bit of a walk-in closet, clothing and towels on the racks, and 2 suitcases of different sizes. That's a nice touch. Some pre-war clothing and a dirty clothes hamper on the opposite side. Moving out of this bedroom and... wait a minute. There's another one. What is that thing? We can't interact with it, either inside or outside the workshop. I suppose it's supposed to be a light switch, but it just looks like yellow paint on a wall. Anyway, moving out, we see pictures on the brick above the stairs, and heading east down the hallway, we find more doors. Wow, that's a lot of doors. We'll start with the northern door first. This leads to a bathroom, another bathroom, with another weird yellow mark on the wall. Yeah, that's got to be some sort of broken light switch or something. More beautiful blinds, even though we've got a dirty bathtub. Heading out, this is a kid's room. Oh, well, yeah, this couldn't have been made by Charlie. This must be a children's room that has since been untouched by time. The kids slept in a bunk bed. We see toys on the ground and on top of the shelves. And another floor-to-ceiling window, giving the kids some wonderful sunlight. Heading out and opening the next door, this leads to a small closet. And this is great. Lots of first aid kits, ammo boxes, and duffel bags so that we can organize our explosives, ammunition, and aid. And then the final door is another organization room. Okay, so that bedroom we found was indeed the master suite, not a guest bedroom. Here we find the bobblehead stand. Not sure what a pre-war Charleston resident was doing with a bobblehead stand, but it's useful for us. And we find a whole bunch of containers. More ammo containers, more duffel bags. Turning around, we see an end-of-dungeon steamer trunk for sundry goods, and then quite a selection of coolers and first aid kits on shelves behind us. There's even a smaller than usual metal box on the bottom floor. Great for organizing all of our goods if we happen to be OCD. As for me, yeah, I just dump nearly everything into my workbench. And right outside this storage room, we find... hey, it's a ladder to the roof. All right, we get rooftop access here, just like with Home Plate. But instead of overlooking a sprawling city like our house at Home Plate, this Charleston rooftop overlooks the Charles. We find some plants and planters back here, some lawn chairs and a table, and peering over the ledge, we see the river and the bridge that we saw earlier. Looks like the sun is setting over the horizon. There's Bunker Hill off to the west. And there's my robot provisioner doing his duty. Good job, provisioner. Now there's no way down aside from going back the way we came. If we're wearing power armor, we can jump off. Or if we don't want to go all the way back through, we can leap from ledge to ledge here. We see a few of these ledges have some potted plants, and in such a way we can safely reach the ground. Now, if lost while running around Charleston, we can always spot our player home because it's the only one with lights glowing on the second floor. That's handy and helps it stand out a bit. So, a pretty sprawling player home as far as player homes go. It's the largest currently available on the Creation Club. I like how one floor is essentially empty, giving us a lot of creative freedom, and how the others are pre-decorated, in case we want something that we can just move into. Really, the only thing that disappoints me about this creation is the quest. Now, the quest we get is fine. There's nothing wrong with the quest. It's just too similar. If you recall, in my video on the new Cafe Hola by Eleonora, the quest that came with that home was really similar. We arrive at the home, we find a note, which directs us to a location where we find the body of the owner who had gone off scavenging for goods. The details of the story differ between these two quests, but the plot is exactly the same. On the corpse, we find the key, and then we can go back to the player home. Now, I realize that it's probably pretty difficult to come up with a plot that's creative and new for each player home that you publish. The plots we find so far pretty much write themselves. Okay, how do we explain a player home already furnished and not trashed by time? Well, it must have recently been abandoned by its previous owner. Okay, perfect. Logical, makes sense. But I can see myself becoming really tired of playing through essentially the same quest over and over and over again for every player home that I buy. But then again, I'm looking at this from a YouTuber's perspective. I'm gonna buy every single player home and review it because that's part of my job. But would a casual Fallout 4 player do the same thing? Maybe they would only buy one player home and never experience the others. In that case, the quest wouldn't get redundant to them. They would only go through one quest, and the quests we get are fine. So maybe I'm experiencing a problem that no one else is really going to experience. That said, I really hope that with the next player home, we get a more in-depth quest that isn't simply find the body and retrieve the key. I'm confident that there are many creative ways to involve a player home in some sort of interesting quest. And with that, we've covered all of the recent additions to the Creation Club for Fallout 4. I hope you enjoyed these videos. Now it's time to return to our regularly scheduled lore programming. I publish many new Fallout videos each and every week here on my channel, so if you want to make sure you don't miss my next video, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. Cheer, cheer, cheeriest. Celebrate your love of soda with this design, available in a variety of both men's and women's sizes and in a wide array of colors. The design also comes on a bunch of other products as well: smartphone cases, mugs, pillows, posters, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. I have a lot of new content in store for you this week. Here's what's upcoming. I've got a video on LA Noire in the pipeline, as well as a video concerning my personal thoughts about Caesar's Legion. And then I'm going to be starting a series about Rivet City, so stay tuned for that. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.
Yes.